Well, those are the headlines that we will be tracking for you all evening on ET Now. Well, meantime, for our topic for today on The Money Show, let me introduce a very special guest. We have with us Tarun Virani, founder and CEO of TBNG Capital Advisors. Tarun, thanks so much for joining in. I hope you and your family and your team are keeping safe amidst the pandemic. These are certainly testing times for everyone, and I'm sure that you are taking the necessary care and precaution. Well, keeping it with the theme of medical expenses and other expenses, Tarun, there's often a very simple saying in the world of personal finance that expenses don't stop. The only way to get through with this is continuously trying to increase your income. Among the expenses, of course, are the essential ones, right? Like medical expenses, educational expenses, and your day-to-day essential living expenses, rental, groceries, etc. Now, over the years, these expenses have only moved in one direction, and that is up. I'm even talking about the essential expenses. Food expenses as well have only gone higher and higher. So, Tarun, how, on an average rather, in these last few years, what is the degree of rise in these expenses that the average Indian consumer has witnessed?
Great. So, inflation.
Okay, I think we just about lost Tarun's feed over there, and yeah, he was, what the terminology used for that rise in expenses is inflation. Like I said in my introduction, in these last 7 to 10 years, inflation has averaged anywhere between 4% to 7.5%, 8%. Such has been okay. We managed to get Tarun back. So Tarun, yeah, we were talking about this rise in expenses.
So this is actually a money enemy. If you ask me, a 1 lakh rupees worth today, in 20 years with a 5% general inflation trend, it will be worth 2.65 lakhs. Just to give you a big number perspective. But it is definitely, inflation is very good for businesses, for the equity markets, because the earning growth, what you see in companies is actually nothing but the inflation. And this is actually which all these companies are benefiting from. And if I look at the last 5-year data, we were anywhere between 4 to 5% in the CPI numbers, and between 2010 to 15, if I look at, it used to be between 6 to 8%. So that has been the general trend of inflation. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that, however, this inflation number has I suppose been more of a paper number? Because when I look at the way expenses have increased, and I'm talking about something from a medical or an education expense to even something as basic as a taxi expense. We know what has happened to petrol as well, right? Especially in these last couple of months. So, which are the categories there of expenses where we have seen, the surge or the percentage surge surpassing and breaking even those benchmark inflation numbers?
Yeah, so inflation has been particularly seen very high compared to the normal benchmark CPI numbers in categories like healthcare and education. To talk on a big number basis, if I have to give you some data, so this is actually double the actual CPI numbers. It has been growing between 8 to 9% on an actual basis. I tried pulling out some data, what used to be a medical cost, medical degree. It used to cost anywhere between 10 to 15 lakh rupees in 2007. And as we talk, it cost nothing less than 40 lakhs in a medical college in Tamil Nadu. So this is like rising at a 10% base case. And if it rise at this same 10%, it will be approximately 1.7 crores in 2027. So actually these numbers are actually rising at a very different level, for the simple reason everybody wants to make sure their kids have the best education. Everybody wants to have access to the best healthcare, and there are a lot of supply constraints to it. And due to that, you always see there is a inflation trend which is again rising at a very fast pace. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, right? As India's population as well increases, we see more and more people. I mean, the positive is that, of course, we're seeing more and more people, moving out of the poverty line, more and more people getting educated. And of course, you want the best for your children. You're willing to pay whatever it takes. So all the more you were seeing a rise in, expenses like an education. Health-wise as well, you will go all out to spend whatever it takes to ensure that you or your loved one, are given the best medical treatment. These are essentials, and there's no, you can't compromise really on these two heads of expenses. So that may be one of the reasons why you are seeing these two categories of expenses also grow at a much, much faster clip than your benchmark inflation number. So which brings me to my next and most obvious question then, Tarun. How can one keep up with these expenses and this, this higher than inflation clip that we are seeing these numbers grow at? Because my income may not even, let's say if I'm a salaried employee, my annual increment is definitely not going to be anywhere close to those numbers that you showed us right now, Tarun.
So, according to me, there is only one way, and that one way is nothing but planning. You need to start planning, and that needs to be done in a very detailed manner. So, when I talk about financial planning, it starts with identifying your existing risk tolerance level, your suitability, that what kind of time frame you have available. Once you have data around this available, you can start looking at investments accordingly. So let me give you a quick perspective. Let's say you are looking at a higher education for your kid who is aged 15 years right now, and you are targeting an MBA after 8 years. And let me give you a quick perspective. And you, as a parent, I always want to plan for the best education for my kids. Today, an MBA in IIM Ahmedabad costs nothing less than 25 lakh rupees. So if I'm targeting the best college in India, after 8 years, if my kid is 15 years old, I need to target a corpus of 52 lakh rupees with a 10% inflation. For that, I need to save minimum of 33,000 rupees per month for next 8 years to make sure that corpus is available. If your kid is already 20 years, you have not planned anything, and there is just 3 years available to you, you require a corpus nothing less than 33 lakh rupees. For that, you need to save 75,000 rupees. So this is for a management degree I am talking about. Let's say if you are talking about an engineer, you want your kid to be an engineer, you need to start saving for him accordingly. Let's say IIT Kharagpur today, which is the best premier college in India, it costs almost 4 lakh rupees to get an admission there. A 4 lakh rupees today, with an inflation level, let's say 15 years down the line, you need to save approximately 13 lakh rupees for that. And you need to save some X amount for that purpose. So my first thing is you need to define what are you actually looking at. Are you looking at education in India or outside India? And again, I think as a parent, you don't know which path your kid will go. But it is very important to start planning for the best. And once you start planning for the best, I am sure whatever dreams you have for your kids will be taken care of. Second part on the medical expenses, my only request to everyone is to make sure their Mediclaim is taken care of. The entire family needs to be covered. As we look at earlier, 5 lakh rupees of Mediclaim used to look very high. But as I talk, I have seen people have spent almost 50 lakh rupees on a medical expenses. So it is important to make sure at least a 20 to 25 lakh rupees of floating Mediclaim for family is available for us. And once this is there, I think this medical contingency or emergency can be taken care of.
I think, Tarun, it will be easier really to meet medical expenses. The task is very simple. You just have to buy a health insurance policy, ensure you and your family and your loved ones are adequately covered. It's perhaps the education bit for which, you still need a lot more planning and a lot more, investments, etc. that you need to take. And of course, like Tarun said, it's always easier, to be prepared for, the higher amount, the higher end of the amount that could possibly come in. Of course, if it's lower, then great, really. So, Tarun, what would be then that inflation beating return that one can target? Or rather, should I say, medical expenses and education expenses beating return that investments can generate, and which are the asset classes or the pockets that can actually generate that kind of return to match up with these expenses?
So, from a risk parameter point of view, higher returns can only be generated by asset classes like equity and real estate over a long period of time. We have seen real estate has been highly inconsistent or unpredictable asset class in India. Last 5-6 years, we have not seen any kinds of returns, as well as there is a lot of illiquidity which is coming due to real estate. So only asset which can give you compounding as well as inflation beating returns. When I am talking about inflation beating return, it means almost 4 to 5% more than inflation. So I think equity is the only way to look at, and for that, some bit of smart asset allocation strategies need to be built in. One need to make sure that what is the kind of risk tolerance capability you have, what is your old investment experience, what kind of time frame available for you. Let's say you are targeting a 3-year corpus creation. I don't think you can take a very high level of risk. But if you have a 7 to 10 year kind of time frame available, I think you can look at higher allocation into equities. And that is where that kind of return, almost 13-14% kind of compounding returns have been generated over a period of time. So I think that is like a massive opportunity available for everyone. But the only bit which is required is the planning part and start early. I think my request to everyone would be to start planning as soon as the kid is born, and don't wait for the kid to tell you that I want to go for a medical or an MBA. I think you need to start preempting and start planning for the best mode of education for your kid. And I think that's where you can start looking at introducing asset classes like equity, which can generate you over and above inflation.
Answered my next question as well, Tarun, because since we were talking about education, I was going to ask you that when should one start off then think about education? I mean, medical, of course, you know that there unfortunately can be an emergency that can arise anytime. So the best time to buy Mediclaim is right now, and ensure you keep renewing it. But for education, someone's child maybe, just 5, someone must be 10, someone must have been just born. But like Tarun said, start planning the day the child is born. You have more time on your hands, which gives you the flexibility of taking on board more risk, and more risk means more return as well. So this is something that everyone should always keep in mind. Now, unfortunately, Tarun, I think the last 1 year, the characteristic that COVID has thrown about in everybody's money is that, firstly, expenses have increased, like petrol, etc. Secondly, COVID has actually impacted people's income as well, job losses, business disruptions, etc. So in such a situation and amidst the rising expenses, what do you recommend these individuals do?
So this pandemic has been actually one of the black swan event, and it's like a once in a century kind of event which has happened, and nobody has was able to predict a situation like this will come in. So yes, this will also pass. As an optimist, I feel this will also pass, and maybe a 6 month, 1 year period, once the population is vaccinated and once you start seeing the economic activity gets into full flow, you will start getting back into shape. So I feel one should not get overly negative about it, and maybe at this point of time you are not able to save the kind of amount which you were able to save pre-pandemic. But nothing to lose heart. May this time pass by, and whatever best you can do right now. And I have met a lot of families, let's say in technology sector, into a healthcare sector, their incomes have actually grown up. And there I have seen a lot of expenses have gone down. People are working from home, so the transportation cost, there are a lot of costs which has gone down for people. So I think the saving levels have been actually very different for those kind of families. But yes, I know for a lot of families, there has been income losses also. For them, my best suggestion is to take care of the current situation. Make sure you have a good contingency balance available. You need to make sure next 6 months or 1 year of expenses are available with you. And once this time passes and once you get back into the normal shape, you can start planning. No need to get panic about it and get overly negative about it.
Okay, well, yes, the hope is that all of this will pass very, very soon, and we can get back to our daily grind, which all of us, I'm sure, appreciate at this juncture. Okay, well, let's take on board some questions and queries. Remember, folks, you can connect with us on the Money Show at etnow.tv. That's our email address. Okay, taking on board some questions that we've received in the course of the last few days. Mr. Shivakumar Burli writes in saying, if I hold bonds for a period of 1 or 3 years, can I expect the returns to match the underlying coupon rates of the bonds held by that fund? I find market yields are less than coupon rates on a day-to-day basis. They sometimes even rank below bank FD rates of short periods. So I'm sure some of our viewers may be a little perplexed with the terminologies, etc. used, because fixed income is a little bit more complex than equities. They do tend to carry a lot of jargons. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Tarun, on what Mr. Burli is saying?
Burli's question is a very relevant one, and I think you need to separate the coupon rate as well as the current yield. The reason for that is these are all traded securities. Once anything which is traded, the current yield and the coupon tends to there is a gap between that, and also there is a factor of expense ratios which comes into play. So there are some bit of categories like rundown maturities which gives you returns in alignment with the coupons which are currently available. But let me give you a quick example of the 10-year government security. This is one of the most liquid and tradable security available in the market. The current coupon of a 10-year GSEC security is 5.85%, but as we talk, the current yield of that is 6.05, and due to that, the bond is trading at a discount, and it is around at 99 level compared to 100 rupees prime. So the current yield reflects the current market interest rate, whereas the coupon is the interest rate which you are going to get. So there is a difference between that. So one need to understand anything which is tradable will have a different current yield compared to the coupon rate.
All right, I think we have time for one more question, a very interesting one. Ferial Majumdar asks, what should be my objective if I'm looking for where to invest? Should I look at what gives me the highest returns or what is least risky? Okay, interesting one at that. So what should be her objective? More returns or more risk? Because, the two, of course, don't necessarily go hand in hand.
I think this is a Ferial question is a very deep question if I go deeper into it. And this is a relevant thing for most of the people as I talk. When I meet people, people don't know which path to go. As Mr. Ferial has mentioned that whether I should look at high return or I should look at the least risky one. According to me, the secret sauce or the best one, an objective one to look at is to get yourself into a financial planning process. You need to start getting into understanding what are your important financial goals in your life. What are your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals? What is your risk tolerance level? What is your past investing experience? And what is the level of stress in drawdown you are ready to take? Once these questions are clear, you start looking at investments into a very different way. Then if you, let's say you start making buckets, this is the money I want to save for long term. Yes, the returns is a more important point to look at. But when you are looking at, let's say, a 1 year or 2 year investment, you have to look at risk. And in that point of view, you will look at only fixed income or debt security. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay, Tarun, unfortunately, we're a bit short of time, but thank you so much for joining us today on The Money Show, and keep safe. With that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching.